1.
Spags, we are back for part 2 of our Splash Play Tuesday doubleheader. We just wrapped up my 12th Best Ball Mania 4 draft, and now we will battle again. Will Spags get his 19th share of Anthony Richardson in consecutive drafts? Tune in to find out.
Yeah, I got a little Anthony Richardson in the stream right before this one. Go check it out on Pete's channel. Of course, check out his playlist of 150 Best Ball Mania drafts, as we just did number 12. And now it's number 13, Pete. You won the popular vote in the last one, so we'll see what goes on here. But I got to say, I don't think I'm getting a lot of love from the public I'm not building popular vote teams, Pete. I'm building for the con heads out there. I'm building for the 1% to the 5% of voters. And I want January to come now so people can see me be right and I can just go, nah, nah.
Have you ever considered that maybe some of your spiteful picks and doing bits might actually be hurting your chances to building, actually good teams? Because Spags, I don't think you'd call our audience idiots. In fact, I think you'd call them very well-informed, sharp best ball players whose opinions we greatly value. And if that cohort, a wisdom of the crowds, continues to like my teams better than yours, I think you need to have a long look in the mirror and reconsider how you're drafting.
I think so. Here's my honest reply to that is that I think a lot of the audience out there, sometimes you guys aren't as deep in the weeds as I was in January and February and March. So by the time we roll around to July to August, all of that, people will go like, oh, Spags' teams are starting to make sense. Like once the Athletic goes, oh, Anthony Richardson is the best quarterback who's ever played in training camp or whatever, like some report that really puts him up on that pedestal. So I think that's where I am with it, is that I still think I'll be proven right at the end of the day, but I get it. Like it's hard to feel wrong, Pete. It's hard to feel victimized, but you got to do what you want to do with your money. And I'm enjoying spending my money.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is America. I mean, you should be able to do whatever you want, but I just know I'm not going to listen to your tears here when the chat doesn't vote for you, because you're not optimizing for the best draft. You're optimizing for bid equity. You're optimizing to make Anthony Richardson your brand play, which we do need to talk about, Spags. I mean, last year, your brand was in shambles after the Drew Lock thing. Are you really fully prepared to go down with this Anthony Richardson ship like you are right now?
I will say, and this will be my real flag plan as I change the thumbnail over my shoulder. Anthony Richardson's on the thumbnail today. I have never believed in a thing in football as much as I do as Anthony Richardson's success the second he steps on the field.
Okay. The second he steps on the field. Can I ask you a question here? How much of it do you think is just going to be like pure rushing upside? Like it's just going to be Justin Fields last year all over again, where he's just ripping off these monster runs? Or how much of it is you thinking, I actually think he's going to be competent as a passer. He's going to move the ball. This offense is going to be shockingly good. Like where on that spectrum are you?
So I think the thing that people miss, and Pete's talked about it too, was terrible in college in the short, under 10 air yards throws. He was like really bad in a way that doesn't make sense. And I think it's a little bit of the talent gap at Florida, who had no skill position guys of note around him. But also like that's a thing he can sort of clean up and scheme around. But he was really good throwing the ball 10 yards past, really good throwing the ball 20 air yards past. And he runs like a monster. Like go through his college game logs. I know the SEC people go like, well, if you watch the games, he's not that good. Guy ran 20 times in a game for 100 yards. Guy threw for 400 plus yards against Tennessee. Like he's had the ceiling in college, and he's just a freak athlete. 38% avoided tackle rate. Guy who creates value every time he touches the ball. And I think people don't get that he's not just one of these things. He's not Justin Fields. He's not Joe Burrow, but he's a little bit of both, or a lot of both on the rushing side. So that's where I'm landing with it, but I am on the clock here, and I'm going to take Jalen Waddle because it seems like wide receivers are very frothy in this room.
Spags. Wow, this room, you guys are going to give me JT at pick 17?
Yeah, you love running backs. Get them. Go ahead. Have fun.
I will. I'm actually, I need to run to the bathroom here. This is hard for me to do on solo streams, but I know you're fully capable of vamping.
No, I will call up some chats here, talk to you guys. We're saying this year's Drew Lock is a Richardson PTF. If I will say to you guys, if you want to fade me on this take, go ahead, grab Gardner Minshew for free. I saw some people talking about that both in the chat and on Twitter yesterday. There's lots of ways to get levers against me if you want to do it, but I will stake my reputation on Anthony Richardson, who read some profiles about him. Guy wanted to be a fireman at a point in his life, dedicated himself to being good at fireman training. Like, not a lot of QBs you're going to see that. Zach Wilson didn't want to be a fireman. You know what he wanted to be? A MILF hunter from day one. And where did that get him? Nowhere. Anthony Richardson, all about ball. Minshew season, there you go. Look, take him. If you put your money where your mouth is, and take Minshew. And I think that if I'm wrong, then hopefully you'll be right. And Bindle, shout out to Bindle. Shout out to all the creators, by the way. You always appreciate seeing some of the new best ball streamers and drafters out there. Our guy Bindles used some of our production assets on his YouTube channel, get going. And I noticed it was like, what, Bindles taking my my hard-earned Photoshop of an Underdog graphic. But we support the Bindleses of the world because, you know, got to get up the plate and start streaming. Go ahead.
What did he steal?
He took our Underdog promo thing that I made in Photoshop and he used it on a stream and crossed out Flash and wrote in Bindles.
That should, I mean, I'm sure he's converted, you know, hundreds of first-time depositors with that kind of graphic design strategy.
Probably as much as I have, being honest, but we try at the end of the day. Pete, you have AJ Brown, you have Jonathan Taylor, wide receivers going early and often here. Do you have any regrets not taking a running back?
No, I don't. I will continue to hammer Jonathan Taylor at pick 17.
Yeah. Oh, see, Luke has a great take here. How about getting leverage by taking Richardson even higher than Spags is willing? That's what you guys should be doing.
That's a bastardization of the word leverage, Luke.
I mean, do you think, Pete, again, the Sam Sherman poll is out there. I'm sure there's been more votes coming in. I think he had it as 0 to 60, 60 to 75. Out of those two, which would you pick that Richardson will land at by the time, let's say, late August, early September rolls around?
I mean, at this point, like, I keep moving it. Initially, I said, oh, I think he settles at like the 6-7 turn where Trey Lance and Jalen Hurts settled last year. And now you slappies are so out of control that I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the mid-5th.
Yeah. If you want to get unique, AR in the 4th, it's true. Guys, help my closing line value. Reach for him even more. It's a groundswelling, Pete. At the end of the day, we have the believers, we have the non-believers. And as we all know, those kind of holy wars always go well.
Come on, Chipsy. You're setting up your Joe Burrow stack and you had to take Hurts. Let me value hound Hurts at pick 32 with my AJ Brown share.
Mike asking, real question, does Pete quit best ball if Spags somehow wins this year? I feel like I would. I don't think you would quit. I think you'd dig your heels in even further and be like, Best Ball Mania 5 is mine.
You know what I would say? I would say, like, no one is more of a kingmaker than me. First, Liam, brought him on my stream, wins Best Ball Mania 2. You know, have Pat serve as my co-host for 4 or 5 years. He wins Best Ball Mania 3. Spags, who I took under my wing, a wounded Barstool employee that I helped flourish in the fantasy industry. He wins Best Ball Mania 4. I mean, that would actually be a good run out for me.
I'm taking Lamar here. I don't like anybody who's on the screen right now and don't want to reach that far. I know Rotoviz had an article this morning talking about Jahmyr Gibbs being the best value in Best Ball Mania 4. And I got to say, Pete, I kind of blanched at that one. I just don't like where Gibbs is going right now.
I mean, again, this is the classic. I mean, dude, the rise on Gibbs is no different than the rise on Richardson, and it's a far more justifiable rise. Sean Siegel said right away that Gibbs is a 3rd round best ball value. I had sticker shock because, like, the opening night stream I did with Karain, we got him in the late 5th, and that felt like a smash. I don't have a problem with it, but yeah, I do think you start to wonder how much additional meat on the bone is there at those prices.
Gibbs doesn't really make sense for me here again, though he is starting to slip as a value. I obviously have Lamar, so I'm not going to take Fields. I guess I'm just going to take Watson again. I believe in Watson too much. That's going to be, if there's a hill I'm afraid of dying on this year, Pete, it is much more Christian Watson than it is Anthony Richardson, because I take Watson all the time.
I like Christian Watson.
I mean, he's young and he's in that pack of like Hopkins and Keenan Allen and whatever. And I don't know. I just would rather have the young guy who flashed pretty hard last year, even if, like, it's obviously a drop off a little bit from Rodgers to Love, but you know, Love's going to be out there throwing to Watson all offseason, I would think.
The problem I have with Watson is I prefer DJ Moore to him, who I just selected.
DJ Moore, he falls sometimes now. I got him in, no, I didn't get him actually. I passed him at 52 yesterday. So I think if the Fields drafter doesn't take him, then he just kind of lurks around.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 running backs in Fields.
Yeah, I had like a very small pipe dream that I guess I would have had to have gone DJ Fields instead of Breece DJ to get the field stack, but it looks like we are on a trajectory for another late quarterback build. We'll see if Chipsy goes double elite quarterback here to get Joe Burrow with Chase.
That feels like not a Chip move, but I guess we'll find out in a moment here. You said you're not drafting any puppies either, so that wasn't part of your commitment. You're obviously streaming every Best Ball Mania 4 draft, but you're also not doing puppies?
No, I'm not like specifically out on puppies. I keep telling myself like I would like to draft a puppy team. I was planning on drafting a couple this weekend and just didn't have time. April has been a little bit sick lately, so my my energy levels at night to draft a teams just aren't there. So yeah, I'm what is this? My 13th Best Ball Mania draft and still 0 puppy drafts here. But who knows, Spags? Maybe when the schedule comes out and I think about look at all the slappies in the puppy who have already blasted off, and I can come in there with the schedule with my correlation and have an edge on all of those early teams.
Yeah, I've already put in, I think 20 to 25 entries in the puppy just because I know I have no chance at maxing it out if I do wait to the schedule release, and I probably don't have a chance of maxing it out now. But I like getting in some puppies now. It's certainly a different draft from the BBM. I think even despite the fact that they kind of have leveled up on both sides of that. But I like the puppy and I like spamming it out. I just am surprised that you didn't get some extra reps here because you're hopping on stream and the ADPs keep changing every time.
Yeah, I know they do, but Spags, I have to be so protective of my time these days. I could draft a puppy or I could respond to all of your guys' comments, and I've decided to respond to all of your comments. So it's a give and take.
That's true. That is probably more plus EV for you, I would think.
I hope so.
Shout out to the chat, by the way. If you are coming over from Pete's channel, I will throw in the quick plug here. Subscribe to this channel, Fantasy Football all year round. The Spags solo streams come back on Friday. I'm going to start stacking up teams here, going one by one, so I can't draft all Anthony Richardson. I'll have to draft some Cardinals, some Bills, some Bengals, whatever the case may be. So come hang out on Friday. And, of course, Pete and I will be doing these double headers every Tuesday for the near future, at least here on the channel. So hang out with us here. We appreciate it a bunch. Anything you're observing here? Because I got to say, as I watch more of your streams, Pete, this year, you are taking running backs earlier than I think you have the last, 3 years you've been streaming these?
Yeah, the ADP landscape is it's much different this year than it was last year. I'm still living within the same structures that I always live in. I'm just taking my spots at different points here. Let's see. I could go tight end here. I also really need to catch up at wide receiver. Well, not really need to catch up, but let's go ahead and we'll take JSN. I had really been hoping like after the draft that I was going to get cheaper JSN. I was completely wrong on. I was like, he has to move down to like the 7th or 8th round after this landing spot. But Underdog drafters too sharp, still drafting the best wide receiver in this class at an appropriate price.
All right. Well, I did take Dobbins last time out, but that was Dobbins with Andrews, and I do believe in Baltimore here. So I think I'm going to take Dobbins again just to give myself some Baltimore correlation because Zay Flowers will probably get taken away from me too frothily. Shout out to Bindles as well. $5 for an A-Rich tribute. Hopefully, Pete, not a com tribute.
Wow. You know what? You could have sent that $5 to Bindles, someone on Fiverr to make you an Underdog promo graphic.
I appreciate it, Bindles, and I appreciate, again, the hustle, Pete, of seeing a graphic going like, I love that graphic, and I want it for me. I want it to be Bindles's, and hey, Bindles is grinding.
Of course he is.
Let's see what's going to be coming up here for me. A lot of running backs on the board at this point, which, oof, I don't like this pocket. Evans, Pickens. Got it. Yeah, you don't go up and get your guys. Like I go up and get Watson. I go up and get Pickens every time. And I think that's definitely my mindset, but I can't do that today because my Watson and Pickens bags are almost as heavy as my AR bags.
This is a nice tight end zone.
It is. And I got to get somebody who can beat Mark Andrews. So I guess there are going to be a lot of Mark Andrews lineups out there just because of where they're going. Nice tight end spot indeed. Kyle Pitts.
Take Goddard if you're such a Pitts hater.
I am a Pitts hater.
You said you loved Goddard.
This is a nice value on Miles Sanders, so I'm going to take him.
Oof. I think Miles Sanders is right behind Odell Beckham as one of the worst picks on the board.
This is one of the ones I will dig my heels in on too. I think Miles Sanders is so undervalued, and I think people keep thinking he's going to be the same player he was in Philly, even though they've said they view him as a 3-down back, a guy who can get out there. And I don't know. I think, certainly the offensive coordinator too, coming from the Rams, a team that Sanders, certainly could be that Cam Akers getting 20 touches a game. So I believe in Miles here, but I certainly get why people don't. And you believe in Mike Evans, it seems.
I do. I keep selecting him a lot. Normally when I've been selecting him, it's been a little bit past ADP, but wide receivers flying off the shelves in this draft room. And I'm catching up here. For the audio listeners, my team through 6 rounds, I got Jonathan Taylor and Breece Hall at running back. My wide receivers, A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, JSN, Mike Evans. No onesie position players yet.
And yeah, that's definitely a unique receiver room. I feel like I don't see that particular grouping too often.
Yeah. I love M. Shad's comment up here a few minutes ago. I need to wait for the schedule release on Richardson for week 17. Texans or Titans. I don't like if they play the Jags. I like him a lot more. I mean, now this is the levels of galaxy braiding already going on here.
I'm not, where's that? I was looking for this one. So this kind of made me laugh. Scott giving the very nice comment. And then the contrast of our audience here, AJT just going oink, oink in response to the running back piggery, I suppose I'm doing.
Yeah, you are a pig.
I am a pig. Spags Race setting up that sweet Terrace Marshall correlation. That's what we're looking for. 18th round Terrace Marshall might be the player you need. Predictions on how the Minnesota backfield shakes out. You were talking about this a little bit. Do you think that Dalvin Cook comes back? Because you felt like Madison was a little bit undervalued, but it was mostly because, or overvalued rather, but you thought it was because of the Ty Chandler and McBride part of things, right?
Yeah. I'm having a tough time with it because, like, if you're looking at the various prices for the draft, like, Cook is still going like decently high. I mean, okay, he's sliding in this draft. So I do think like maybe we're in a range where you should consider him. But in general, when he's going there, and then Madison went top 100 pick in the draft we just did. I find both of those to be like fairly efficient. So I think I'm just like, I don't know. I'm struggling with it. I haven't been selecting either of them. I think I'd rather take a late flyer on a Ty Chandler or Dwayne McBride and hoping one of them becomes the RB2. And then you're getting some really nice closing line value. But what are you doing with Dalvin Cook?
I've been taking Madison. So I've gotten some mix in shares. Oh, Anthony Richardson goes to somebody who's not me. What a moment in stream history.
Has Anthony Richardson ever gone at ADP or after? This is a challenge. Post either in the Splash Play Discord, tag Spags and I on Twitter. Show me a screenshot of you selecting Anthony Richardson after ADP. I swear to God, it has never happened.
That's why I started doing what I was doing, because I kept going like, oh, I'll get him like 2 picks ahead at ADP, and then he wouldn't be there. So I just kind of went out and got my guys. Now the market's kind of reacting accordingly. But I agree. Like, I don't think he ever goes late. And if he does go late, it's not in draft rooms that I'm in, because maybe on DraftKings, maybe some boomer drafts aren't going there too heavy.
So man, there are a ton of running backs available here. I think Jahan Dotson, I mean, I do think that second tier with Thomas, Sutton, Bateman, there's some merit to it, but I need to stay ahead of this avalanche here, and I'm going to draft Jahan Dotson.
Oof. Yeah. Dalvin's still falling. Dalvin, this might be my first share of Dalvin. If I was inverted here, Paul doesn't take him. I only have 3 I only have 3 receivers, so never mind. Michael Thomas, I think, still has top receiver value. I know people think he's old and dusty, but I think he'll be in the 70 range ADP wise by the time the summer gets around. There's some healthy camp reports, so I'm going to take Michael Thomas here, even though, Pete, I know you view him as a dust ball as well.
I think he's fine. I definitely prefer him, when he's going closer to pick 100 when he slides than 82, but this is a wide receiver hungry room. There's about to be a string of running back values coming here.
Kyle saying you got Richardson at 92. I was actually looking back at old drafts. And by old drafts, I mean drafts from 2 weeks ago. Richardson was going in the 110s, Pete. I was getting him there. And now you would not see him in the 110s, I don't think, in any possible situation.
Yeah, we're all trying to find the guy who did this spags.hotdogoutfit.ithinkyoushouldleave.gif.
It's all part of my promotion for the new I Think You Should Leave season coming out May 30th. And I feel good about my Anthony Richardson shares. That's all I'll say. He's only going to get more expensive, guys, if you are waiting on that price tag. God. I guess I got to reach for a Raven here because Bateman? I do have Lamar, and I'll take Bateman.
That's the perfect pick. I mean, Bateman is the last of that wide receiver tier, and you have Lamar. I don't think there's any other pick you could have made there.
No, it just sucks to be like, this is a pretty big reach for Bateman, a guy who's certainly not gaining in popularity.
You weren't going to let me have value hound DeAndre Swift there. That would have been nice. I guess I'll value hound Cam Akers at pick 89.
Cam Akers, a lot of Zach Evans steam lately, I feel like, and I'd rather have Cam Akers where he's going as a nice little discount.
Yeah, well, there was McVay was hyping up Zach Evans the other day because I wrote about it in the newsletter on Monday. And, they're talking about they used, they didn't spend a super high pick on him, but they did trade up to ensure that they got him. And Zach Evans is one of those guys who was like a 5-star college recruit, basically always underwhelmed in college and had some character issues off the field. But I guess his talent is still pretty sick. So I get why people are like, hey, this guy is going to immediately dust Kyron Williams. But on the other hand, you do put yourself at risk if you're chasing him up the boards of just having like a dead spot. And my thought on Zach Evans, even if we get confirmation he wins the RB2 role there behind Akers, he's topping out in the Jaylen Warren range, because that's the comp for a locked and loaded second back. And Jaylen Warren goes at pick 160. So if you're wrong, you have a dead roster spot. And if you're right, you get like 2 rounds of closing line value. So I wouldn't be chasing him up.
And Warren's also going to have a role from day one. Like that was the one thing that I think I kind of missed a little bit last year, was taking some guys for planning for that week 17 chaos, but not taking guys who sometimes had a role, weeks 1 through 10. And even were assured to get a chance at week 17, like a Zamir White or a Son Haskins that were basically just straight contingent value. Zach Evans to me is just kind of straight contingent value right now because Akers showed enough last year. Like he was great down the end of last season, even though the Rams had absolutely no reason for him to be great.
Yeah. All right. This room sucks, man.
It's all running backs and everybody took receivers early. So you really like Juju going top 100. I don't know. Jameson Williams going 92. That hasn't happened in probably weeks.
I'm just glad I pulled the trigger on JSN there and I didn't get cute with another running back detour, because wide receivers are flying.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to balance where, like I certainly see all the running backs piling up there and go, oh, it's like, it'd be great to get Javonte Williams now. And MTM Revolt here takes him. But it's also, you have to have the receivers to justify taking that running back at a discount. And or otherwise you'll get completely blocked out and then you're stuck with Odell as your wide receiver 3.
Yeah. I am trying to look at this board.
Every streamer loves Warren. I've seen that take on Twitter a little bit recently, Pete, where people are treating us streamers as different drafters than people who don't stream, which I think is an interesting development.
Got to take your boy Geno Smith here. Need to make sure I don't get too shut out at quarterback.
Yeah, I need a QB2 at some point, but I guess I could take Jimmy late. That'll be fine.
Do you feel naked drafting without Anthony Richardson on your squad? Do you feel exposed, like you've abandoned your brand?
It doesn't feel
just
great.
Flapping in the breeze.
It's true. I do feel exposed. The Emperor is wearing no clothes right now. I also feel like Odell makes sense here to get the double stack, but I got Dobbins. I'm going to pass on Odell. Kamara's cheap. Madison. I'm going to take Madison here. I was thinking about Daniel Jones too. Nice ADP there. Can have 2 rushing QBs, but I don't know. I don't have a great feel for this room. This room is very different than a lot of the ones I've been doing lately.
Yeah. It's a nightmare. I think I saw Chipsy, called it, this place is a prison. I've created this prison, 150 drafts behind bars, just stuck in close quarters with the chat inmates, losing my goddamn mind. No money for the commissary, no conjugal visits, no parole. They don't even let me outside. It's just solitary confinement, being suffocated by the piss boys, the wide receiver avalanches.
Yeah, it's a little better though, I think, to do it like the way we start the stream here, where it's like, hey, maybe these guys can get in. So obviously, we got some people who got in the room, but I think if you're doing it like you do it sometimes at Best Ball Breakfast, where everybody gets a chance, like you're just increasing your likelihood of getting screwed over. All right, I got a 1350.
The Phil Hellmuth.
He is there again. Do I want to do that again?
I got to leverage against the draft I did previously.
Fine. I'll tag Pat Freiermuth again, even though Darnell Washington's a good tight end, Pete, waiting to take that spot.
All right. I got my quarterback, Aaron Rodgers here. I'm not stuck here with you. You're stuck here with me. That's what it feels like. Plural, rural, juror.
Yeah, Pete, this is the AR that's more Pete Overzet speed. Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm chasing AR up draft boards.
AR should be going top 75. Anthony Richardson? No, Aaron Rodgers. He's in New York now. How do you not love him?
Yeah, Chipsy says, Pete, this is why I swore off getting in those stream drafts. It's just a beatdown. Bless your soul, streaming 150. Look, I have sold my soul to the devil. I said, I'm going to sacrifice all this EV, bro, to get to 15K subs, to provide the people with nonstop, continuous best ball entertainment throughout the summer. And so as long as you guys get me to 15K subs, I'll call it even.
Pius asking me, does Spags miss Drew Lock? I don't miss Drew Lock. I do. I mean, I'm scratching that itch with a different player take now. So I'm taking Michelin star Drew Lock and Anthony Richardson now. But I do think it's like, that's what I enjoy, Pete, is like, if people are going to push back and I have a take and I want to dig my heels in on it, I just want to see if I'm going to be right. And obviously Drew Lock was more directionally accurate than actually accurate. But, like that's what we do here on these streams. Hopefully is have some takes besides just, always structurally draft. Yeah, it's great, but we got to have some player takes.
That's right.
Kyle asking, is Damian Harris being criminally underrated thus far? And appreciate the super chat, Kyle. I don't think he's criminally underrated. I do think the Latavius Murray signing kind of knocked his the public interest in him down a little bit. But that said, like, I like Damian Harris. Like, I still take him sometimes. It's just I think the public is not as in on him just because there's a chance now that he might not be like that sledgehammer back.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment. I would not say criminally underrated. If you wanted to say being slightly undervalued, I would buy that for sure. I think I do like him more than some of the other running backs in this range, like prefer him to Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. I mean, his ADP definitely reflects that. Although I guess he's behind Brian Robinson in ADP. Definitely give me Damian Harris. It's like the same back, and one of them is on the worst offense in football, and the other is on one of the best offenses in football. Like with those two guys, you're just touchdown hunting. So why wouldn't you be taking the guy whose team is actually going to be in the red zone a decent amount?
Nick asking, if AR is replacing Locke, who's replacing Algier? That's an interesting one. He's a little more expensive than Algier was, but I think for me, it's Roshan Johnson. That's been the guy that I think stood out the most to me analytically and landed in a nice spot that I think has some real upside. Do you have an equivalent here to an Algier? Like, is there a rookie that you think is being undervalued right now that you take a lot?
A rookie running back a la Algier. The guy I've been hammering is Kendre Miller. I don't think with this structure right now, I'm going to be able to take him, but I do think he is the guy who feels to me like this year's like Dameon Pierce-esque guy that could like sneakily take over the backfield and just be a huge riser. All right, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get my first tight end share of Dalton Schultz. The range I'm thinking about here, people know I do not like 3 tight end builds. So I want to make sure I'm grabbing like one guy in this range that has a decent target floor that's just not a true punt. And then he'll kind of help me unlock a 2 tight end build, which I appreciate.
You mentioned Kendre Miller, and I do have a bet on New Orleans here, so I'm going to reach for him, even though I think Brian Robinson's a nice value at this point. And people have to remember, the guy did get shot in the butt last year. So if anybody's going to be better this year just by being healthy, it's probably Brian Robinson.
Yeah. Aaron's saying A-Chain in the chat. The problem is I feel like A-Chain is already appropriately priced. He's skied up draft boards. I think grabbing Jeff Wilson and Mostert at a discount now is the play. But yeah, I like A-Chain, but I mean, his ADP is like his upside's almost fully baked in right now.
Who did the Commanders didn't add a running back in the draft? Did they?
Chris Rodriguez, I believe was the name. It was like a super late dude. Yeah, it wasn't anything to be concerned about.
Yeah, no, I think, that's a tough part too. To go back to the Kendre Miller thing and the Algier thing. Like, I don't think there's a rookie this year that's like slept on. Like A-Chain's priced where he should be. Kendre Miller's getting priced where he should be. Charbonnet's been priced where he should be the entire offseason. So like, that's the tough part about identifying an Algier this year. And if you're going to dig deeper, like those deep cuts aren't there. It's like probably Zach Evans is the deep cut and I'm not dying for him. Brian Robinson goes 1-4-5-1. You know what? I'm going to get Derek Carr here for my second QB, have him with Michael Thomas and Kendre Miller, which feels pretty good.
I guess I'll take, we don't have Anthony Richardson, but we can still take Jonathan Taylor and Alec Pierce and get what? I think it's like 99.6% of all the Colts touchdowns will go through those two guys.
Are you going to go on like a Richardson binge at some point? Because obviously I think now you're doing the bit too, or I'm doing the other side of the bit.
I'm not doing a bit, Spags. I'm not chasing, like you can go historically look at all the guys that screamed up draft boards, and chasing them at those prices is not an optimal way to draft. The only way I would be getting my shares is if I thought I could get some good closing line value. I've already said if he settles in at an ADP range, I will make sure I don't have 0%, but he will eventually settle. And then I'll start to build some teams when I have more information, because then I say, how do I get an edge on all of the teams who got Anthony Richardson at an early draft cost? And the way I get an edge on them is by building teams that have more information and less dead roster spots. So I will still build some Anthony Richardson teams, but I'm certainly not chasing him pre-schedule and with, so many dead roster spot risks associated with those teams.
So what if the price goes up though? What if he's at 73 and the schedule's out and people have still been stacking him? And like, at what point do you just go, I just have to do it now to make sure I get, match the field's 8%?
When it settles, there will be a point. I mean, he's either going to be the 101 pick or he will settle at some point. And I have plenty of time for it to settle. Spags, it's fucking May 9th. This contest is going to be open for 3+ more months. There's a lot of time.
Yeah, I guess I just don't, I don't want to be forced to draft him at 60. I want to draft him at 60 purely out of spite or for the bit.
I guess, Spags, you can't. What you just said is literally not logical.
I just think, if his ADP were 60, I'd go, all right, I got enough of him at 80, 90, 100. I can do that. I don't want to be locked in to draft him at 60.
Yeah, I don't feel locked in. I don't mind having a massive underweight Anthony Richardson position if he settles in the 50s. I will be fully okay with that.
Okay, that's fair. I just don't want you to get none. That's all. That's the main thing for anybody out there, because there's a lot of people I've seen go, oh, I don't want a single share. If you don't get a single share, I think you'll be regretting it, especially if he's just fun to watch. Gotta get a share. Gotta get a taste.
I want to see, what do I got going on here? Could take. Let's do. Did I take Deontay Foreman last draft? Are we just doing it back to back here?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? We have DJ Moore. I believe between Deontay Foreman and DJ Moore, we're getting around 98.43% of all the Bears touchdowns.
Yeah, Justin Fields not going to be involved at all, I would think.
No.
All right. I guess, if Juwan Johnson's just going to be right here for me, I see no reason not to take him.
What is your New Orleans stack? You got Juwan, Carr, and who? Kendre?
And Michael Thomas and Kendre.
Oh, Michael Thomas. Yeah.
So I believe in New Orleans. I like Carr here. I also do kind of like the idea generally. It's not something I'm forcing, but take one rushing QB and take one kind of the stack creates the value QB. And I would say that Lamar and Carr probably fit that criteria as much as anybody.
Yeah. No, I like the mega team stacks right now, pre-schedule. It's crazy, Spags. Next time we do these drafts a week from today, we will be correlating the shit out of week 17. How good is that going to feel?
That was my favorite part of last year, where I was like tweeting the teams where it's like, oh, you got your week 17 matchups, got multiples of them, got, a couple double stacks, even not including the QB. So I think that's definitely a fun part in the last remaining wrinkle here. And I think too, like I've drafted 20 best ball mania teams ish now, and then, a bunch in the puppy. I like that pocket, just having like 25 pre-schedule, 25 post-schedule, and then 50 in July, 50 in August. But that's me kind of having to plan a little bit. Yeah. Boy, not a lot of receivers here, huh? All right. Tyler Algier, come on down. Why not?
I knew you were going to do that.
I got New Orleans guys, Pete, who's going to be playing New Orleans in week 17, maybe Atlanta, maybe in a dome. I guess it would be in a dome for sure.
All right, let's see here. I am going to grab a wide receiver. Let's continue with our thesis on some late risers, or guys we think are going to rise. We'll take, actually, no. I missed Wandell last time. I'm going to take Wandell.
Oh, 10-minute bringing up something. I've forgotten about the buy stuff. I haven't, obviously, you can't build for that now, but that's going to be another part that I guess we haven't accounted for, is that some configurations you have now might not be drafted as much just because of the double bye weeks.
Yeah, I think, we'll have this conversation all summer long. The buys don't really matter that much, honestly. But to your point, people go out of their way to avoid certain combos in a way that maybe it will end up being unique.
Yeah, I mean, again, I will say like my BBM finals team was Burrow and Lance, and that was a helpful lesson for me where I was just like I drafted Lance with good capital, still got there because of the Burrow stack and the best of the running backs I built around that. And I'm certainly not going to be worried about bye weeks as much because I've had that part of my brain going, no, like worry about, and it's not worth it, I think, ultimately, because it's still pod luck and other things.
Yeah, it's a fun people. And this happens with zero RB. It happens with everything. People want to win screenshot popularity contests on Twitter. You want to have the prettiest roster. And if you post a team that has 2 tight ends or 2 quarterbacks with the same bye week or 4 running backs that have the same bye week, everyone has a fucking meltdown and loses their mind and continues to ignore the fact that we're trying to win a tournament with, let me check my notes. Oh yeah, 677,000 people. And who gives a shit if you're sacrificing 6 points in the regular season at tight end?
Though Neil's a data guy, right? He's saying buys not mattering is a pretty bad take, IMO. I guess, I mean, they obviously matter structurally to a certain extent and probably matter more, Pete, I think, for the regular season prizes. But in terms of like, are you not going to win $3 million because you have 2 QBs on buy for the same week? I just don't think that's the part that's going to make your team get over the hump or not.
It obviously hurts your advance rate by a small percentage. In the same way, taking injured players and taking suspended players hurts your advance rate for sure. But it does not have any bearing on your playoff weeks.
And it also could cut the ownership of something too and give you, competing against less people for something. So I kind of see the more tournament upside to that. And, again, had good results with only 1 QB last year, not by my choice. So I think that, I would err on the side of not sweating bye weeks as much, but if you can avoid them, like avoid them, but don't go out of your way to do so if you have like a nice stack and that's how it works out.
Let's see here.
DraftKings drafters saying Underdog is a small field contest. Yes, DraftKings drafters are in a whole different world entirely.
Where did Trey Lance go in our draft that we just did? I wasn't even paying attention. His ADP has to continue to fall. I mean, he's at 162, and I feel like he's always falling like 20 picks past ADP.
Yeah, I don't even remember seeing him go, honestly, but he's so off my radar. Like which could be a flaw for sure. Let's see.
Consigliere saying, what if both buys are in week 17? Luckily, the schedule makers would not do it. I believe last year there were buys in week 14. Aren't there normally like a couple buys week 14, but they're done by then?
Also, Trey Lance went 170 in that last draft, it looks like.
I was oddly sweating getting Mecole Hardman because like the backdoor Aaron Rodgers stacks. I do not want to do Cobb and I don't really want to do Corey Davis. So excited to get Mecole Hardman there.
Not a lot of receivers I like left on the board, and I do only have 5. So I'm going to take John Mechie here, who I think is a little bit undervalued, but God, I don't want to take him 12 picks ahead of ADP normally.
Yeah.
Oof, tough room.
The reason this like the bye week quarterback stuff is so 10 minutes says, I think bye weeks at QB matter more. Missing playoffs by 25 points is realistic. Sure, absolutely. But again, the part of this conversation is like no one's drafting 150 teams with quarterbacks with the same bye weeks. This is like it's going to come up on like 1 or 2 of your teams, and you're not going to freak out because all it's doing is like barely lowering your advance rate to the regular season on one team. It's just not a big deal.
Yeah, I've been pointing out that I beat him by 7 points in one of the playoff teams last year. So I'll take that. I'm glad to get on the lucky side of that one for once. All right. 256. Still need another receiver, but God, what do you even do at this point? I'm going to take Tyjae Spears, not for any particular reason, but actually, no, I'm going to take Gainwell. Never mind.
I love Spears' price.
I like Spears too, but I have so much.
What? Paul? Dude, Paul, that is egregious. Paul, absolutely egregious. Taking Tyler Conklin unstacked 20 picks ahead of ADP when Michael Mayer and Trey McBride are on the board. What the fuck are you doing, Paul? What the fuck are you doing? Take his badge away. This guy doesn't deserve it. I used to think Paul was sharp. What are you doing, Paul?
Was that a spite pick? Was that a spite preview on Tyler Conklin?
I thought Paul was better than that. I really did. What are you doing, Paul?
Paul will defend himself, I'm sure. He
Please
does.
do.
He's one of the biggest winners in our audience.
I expect this kind of bullshit from Spags. I don't expect it from you, Paul. Jeez.
Wow. I don't believe in Tyler Conklin. Jeremy Ruckert is not a name a lot of people care about. I care about him because he's on the dynasty chasing league that I have that I'm in competing with Pete. But
no, pull up this comment. This is Paul, you have lost the thread. Any benefits you get from galaxy braining non-week 17 divisional correlation is fucking fully offset by a round and a half reach of ADP. You have lost the goddamn thread, Paul. Come up for air. Come breathe for air. You are too lost in the sauce. My God, Paul. Holy shit.
Who would have thought of all the people to do this to you that it'd be Paul?
You know what? I'm having my Josh Norris, Tyler Algier, Zach Ertz correlation moment that he had with him. Pull up that comment again. Stacked with Lazard and Chargers play the AFC East. What the fuck is going on? Jesus Christ, Paul. Holy cow.
I think DFSR, I think Pete knew that. I think it's would be my guess. Jesus. Wow. Non-week 17 correlation, but it helps with the regular season prize. Paul digging his heels in here, and God damn it if I don't respect that.
No. Any you losing ADP value fully offsets that fucking galaxy braid. Oh, yeah, really playing for those two Chargers-Jet shootouts. How did you win the regular season prize for $500,000? Aaron Rodgers and Anthony Lazard going back and forth with Mike Williams and Josh Palmer. I'll be telling my grandkids someday about those two Chargers-Jets shootouts in week 6 and week 13. Never forget those two monumental games.
People saying this 150 on stream is going to destroy Pete's brain. Only 137 to go, Pete. Just a tip of the iceberg. So there.
I'm completely fine when guys named like Soccer 7 MP in the draft room dumb shit, but I just expect so much more from Paul. I really expect more from him. He went down a few pegs in my book today.
Wow. This is an August level tilting here in May. You guys are blessed to be a part of this experience.
Guess I'll just stack up Noah Fant, who's the exact same pet as Tyler Conklin. But it does not change the fact, Paul, that you've lost the thread.
It's also, too, because taking Tyler Conklin at 184 is clearly an affront to you and any chance you have of taking Tyler Conklin.
I'm completely willing to discuss it in the Discord. No, Paul, this conversation is one-sided. I'm going to call you a fucking idiot from this pulpit, and then I'm going to move on with my life.
I have a 2662 here. What I'm going to try to do is get some young talent here on the back end. Cedric Tillman, another AFC North guy. We can discuss in Discord as well.
Wait. The Chargers and the Jets do not play twice. What is going on here? I'm done. I'm moving on from this.
I gotta say, guys, the doubleheader stream's already worth it to me here. So please make sure you're subscribed to Splash Play. Of course, go subscribe to Pete's channel as well. The March is 15,000 on the year. The March to 2,000 here on the Splash Play also going to be popping off soon, hopefully. So we appreciate you guys. And where else you going to find this kind of hostility in mid-May fantasy football drafts? Boy, it's funny because, the AR thing I did to you the other day, clearly, you took that well, laughed it off. Here, Tyler Conklin is really the trigger I didn't know you had.
This team is just such trash, Paul. I'm looking at this team. Come up for air, Paul. You're drowning.
I got one more pick here in my 2672 build. Honestly, this is a spot where I am going to take a luxury QB because I don't think I would add a lot of value at receiver. Don't think I'd add a lot of value at running back, but I do have Devontae Adams. So I'm going to take Jimmy Garoppolo too. I'm going to take Tyler Conklin.
Which dusty ass wide receiver do I want to take?
If
do I take Corey Davis?
Yeah, Corey Davis isn't bad.
Cobb or Corey Davis? If we're going to end with the grossest pick, I'm taking Corey Davis over Cobb.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Oh, in this fucking stream.
ML pointing out, you said to Pat the other day, I know I'll tilt in some drafts, but I just have to be patient. Has that already gone by the wayside for you?
Yeah. I just expect better from the best ball community.
I do like that he was willing to defend it. You know, I'm glad he's there for you in Discord.
Well, the people in the chat thought he was doing a bit, but he wasn't, guys. Paul is dead serious.
Paul's team. Let's read out Paul's team here. Stephon Diggs, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert, Tyler Lockett, Kyle Pitts. He got Kyle Pitts. Cortland Sutton, DeAndre Swift, Alan Lazard, Darnell Mooney, Khalil Herbert, Jerick McKinnon, Marvin Mims, Tyquan Thornton, Jeff Wilson, the pièce de résistance, Tyler Conklin, Mac Jones, and Desmond Ridder. But I got to say, Paul's team did fall off there the last 3 rounds.
The thing about it is, like, if you snipe me on good players, I get it. But sniping me on a shitty tight end whose, like, most likely outcome is finishing tight end 18 because he plays your quarterback in another division once. I'm going full Josh Norris on this one. We have completely lost the thread of what it means to draft good teams.
Yeah, I agree. And I didn't draft Anthony Richardson, so I feel like nobody won this draft.
Shut the stream down. I need to go do some breathing exercises.
Well, guys, final picks here. We don't want to do a team reading, or do you actually want to?
Yeah, let's read it. No, it's your turn to read the teams.
Okay. I will read Pete's team. Actually, no, I'll read my team first this time because it's a great team. 0 RB build here to start for the most part. Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle. Actually, no, I should read it the other way. Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo at QB. At running back, J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, Alex Madison, Kendre Miller, Tyler Algier, and Kenneth Gainwell is a value. At wide receiver, I got Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Christian Watson, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman to stack up with Lamar, John Mechie, Cedric Tillman, some youth at the end there, and a tight end a little bit thin, honestly. Pat Freiermuth and Jawan Johnson. And then for Pete's team, it's going to close out the second I try to read it. Pete's team, a great one here with Geno Smith and Aaron Rodgers at QB. At running back, At running back, he has Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Cam Akers, Deonta Foreman, Tyjae Spears. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, unstacked DJ Moore, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Mike Evans, Jahan Dotson, Alec Pierce, Wan'Dale Robinson, McCole Hardman, and Corey Davis. Some great Jets to stack up. And a tight end, Dalton Schultz and Noah Fant. And Pete, if I give you one note here, the guy who really would have completed this team, I think would have been Tyler Conklin.
Do you know what? Also, do you remember the guy I said Paul should have taken, which was Michael Mayer slipping past ADP? Mm-hmm. Do you know who actually plays Michael Mayer twice during the season? It's the Raiders in your quarterback, Justin Herbert. That was the Oppo bring back for you. A guy at value, a guy who actually has a chance to outperform his ADP playing one of your quarterbacks twice. Paul, we're going to let this be water under the bridge. I want you to come up for air, and I want you to draft better going forward.
Well, here we go. The votes are coming in for Spags and then a couple votes for Paul. So I think...
Yes, Paul won this draft because he had made me lose my goddamn mind.
Well, Pete, what are the plugs here? This is draft lucky number 13 for you. When is number 14 coming up? Is it on the club this afternoon, or is there another spot?
I don't know if we're gonna draft on the club. I need to check in with those guys. I want to hear. So Jack Settleman's like horse won the fucking Kentucky Derby. So I think we're gonna get that breakdown from him. I believe we're gonna be drafting a team on the Swolecast tomorrow. People want to see David Kitchen's first best ball team, and I will of course hop in there as well. So yeah, the road to 150 will continue most likely on the Swolecast tomorrow at 1:30.
There you go. So follow Pete at Peter Overzet. Of course, don't forget to leave a comment as well. All the videos on his BBM playlist, 150 stream drafts is Pete's goal. And of course, every single time you comment on those videos, you're getting a chance to win a share of $1,500. 3 people win that. So $500 each out there. Go check that out. Follow me at Chris Spags. Of course, subscribe to Splash Play. Hit the like button down below. Leave a comment. We're on a march to 2K here too. No giveaways for it, but the giveaway of my love each time. So please subscribe and come back on Friday here on this Splash Play channel for my first solo stream here in a little bit, where I will be stacking some teams up. Pete, any final words for you here now that you've gotten a moment to really breathe and settle in and reflect?
What time did you say your Friday streams are going to be at?
I have to see who else is doing streams there, but I'm probably going to do it around noon just so I can be done and then kind of vibe out.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just so excited. I just want to fucking, crank this thing out, and then I can, go smoke weed and play video games.
Pete, there's not a lot of time. We have a nanny over, not a lot of time. And this weekend, actually, for Mother's Day, I'll be doing a lot of childcare. So I gotta I got to make it count because Alex is going to Taylor Swift on Saturday, so I got to be covering Monday, Sunday morning.
Is that your Mother's Day gift to her?
No, actually, she bought it herself because she got $2,000 tickets, so I was not. That wasn't coming from this part of things.
How rich. Well, yes. Shout out to all the mothers out there. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. I apologize for my language on this stream. It's a long road to 150.
Yes, of course. Shout out to all the mothers except Tyler Conklin's mother, who we hate the most right now.
But don't say that. Just in the stream.
Bye, guys. See you soon.